All right, fellow babies, welcome back to the Pachter Factor on Sifted.net. We are happy to have you joining us if you're watching on Sifted.net as a member. $50 a year, $5 a month. You're not going to get a better deal than that. You get original content, the ability to sift all your content. It's really worth it. Would appreciate it if you join. If you're not a member, that's fine. We understand, and you can be watching us on YouTube a week late. We will endeavor to answer all your questions, especially those from my fellow babies. You can ask them on Twitter. You can address them to @Sifted. @Sifted Games? Yeah, @Sifted.net. @Sifted Games on Twitter, and you can copy @Michael Pachter. Happy to have you follow me on Twitter. Let's get to this week's first question from the Sifted site, from Vinuraba. Now that 2017 has arrived, it actually has, what first-party and third-party publisher do you think will have the most success this year, and why? Third-party, probably relative to their normal success, Take-Two. I think Red Dead's going to be a big game. I don't think Red Dead is necessarily going to be the best-selling game of the year. It's possible that, Call of Duty gets back its crown. It's possible Red Dead this year doesn't outsell FIFA, which is about an 18 million unit seller. My bias is Red Dead will do 20, maybe 24. So yes, it could be number one. But relative to Take-Two's size, they win. This is their year. Of course, if I'm right about my earlier in the year tweet that Elder Scrolls 6 is coming, then Bethesda. So there you go, Pete Hines. Bring out Elder Scrolls 6, and we'll have Bethesda as our favorite third-party publisher this year. First party, that's a good one too. I don't know that there's anything coming from any of the three first parties that is like the end-all, be-all, other than the Zelda game on the Switch. And unfortunately, because of the size of the Wii U installed base and the likely size of the Switch installed base, it's not going to be the top-selling title for the year. But I think, again, that brings Nintendo back to kind of glory days. I mean, having a really, really big game. There's no Halo. There's no Gears. There's no Forza. What's Microsoft got
coming? There'll be Forza Motorsport 7.
Yeah, is that this year?
Yeah.
It is?
Yeah, because they do every other year with that, and in between they do the
Horizon, okay, because Horizon was the Australian game.
But
yeah.
Sony, they've got God of War possibly coming out this year.
Yeah, I mean, Sony's got like 5 games that are great. So if you want to say who has success, Sony's got a lot of great games coming. Yeah, I'd say Sony's first-party lineup that we know about is more impressive than anybody's. But Sony's been teasing for a couple of years now a lineup that, again, we haven't gotten dated yet. So we don't really know when all these different games are coming.
Horizon Zero Dawn is coming out in the middle of
That's coming up. Now, Horizon for sure, that's been teased for 2 years. The zombie, not the zombie, they're not zombies.
Days Gone.
Yeah, Days Gone. What's that game? What is that? What are those things?
It's like a zombie.
They're not really zombies. Yeah, they're Last of Us zombies, whatever they are. Yeah, the infected, whatever. Yeah, Days Gone is coming. I mean, I don't know when's the
Crash Bandicoot remasters.
Yeah, when's the Kojima game coming? I mean, not this year. Yeah, I know.
While.
But I know. But I mean, like Sony's been teasing us with games for 2 years. So I think in the aggregate, Sony's lineup's going to be impressive. I expect in the aggregate, Microsoft's lineup's going to be impressive. And I'd say if Nintendo comes through with everything that they promised this year, if you actually get a Mario Kart, if you actually get a Fire Emblem, Xenoblade, Zelda, Splatoon 2, they're pretty impressive. So, I mean, I don't know if we really care who has the most success. Gamers have the most success. I mean, you guys win this year. This is a good year to be in the games business. I think, I'm personally excited about a single player campaign in a Star Wars game. Like, I think that is going to be fun. So, lots of good stuff this year. Trying to think if there's anything else. I mean, again, the kind of shit that I like, For Honor. Like, I'm looking forward to that game, and I don't normally like fighting games. I want to be a samurai. I want to chop off body parts. Like, I think that sounds fun. God, Yubi's got a good lineup this year. There's a lot of good games this year. So answer, Take-Two, and Sony, Microsoft, or Nintendo. You pick.
You gotta pick
Tell you what, yeah, you guys can fill in the blank. I'm gonna say Sony's gonna have the best year. Now let's retake. Microsoft's gonna have the best year. Retake. Nintendo's gonna have the best year. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Okay, our next question from the Sifted site from Blumpje. I've had this guy ask a question before. I like that name. Like Blimpy. Probably Blimpy. What do you think?
I don't even know how to say it.
Blimpy. What game or possible game announcement are you most looking forward to in 2017? Okay, for reals, I'm not kidding. Bethesda's going to come out with something that hasn't been announced yet. They will deny it. I don't know what it is. We already know about Prey. Bethesda's coming out with a game. Damn it. They haven't told me anything. I know nothing. Pete Hines will deny this to his grave, but I think we might get Elder Scrolls 6. I know they're not even working on it, but I know.
They've been saying that they just barely started working on it.
Yeah, I know. I gotta say, you know what? I don't care. Let's replay this next year. I'm gonna say it again next year. Replay it the next year. I'm gonna say it again the next year. The game I'm most looking forward to playing, my next most exciting game ever, is whatever Bethesda makes. How's that? So if it doesn't happen in 2017, I'm going to remain a virgin until something comes out in 2018. I love Bethesda. They're the best developers in the world. Props to Pete Hines because you keep me guessing. And who cares if I'm wrong or not? Let's just talk about Bethesda until they come out with a damn game. I'm actually going to play Prey. I thought that looked really good too. And I like Dishonored. Like I actually thought, not my kind of game. I'm not a big stealthy kind of guy. And I really suck at first-person shooter games, but I'm going to play Prey. It looked smart. It looked fun. And the Arcane guys are actually starting to impress me. Like, because I actually don't remember them before Dishonored 1. So
They
like,
make great games, they just don't sell.
yeah,
That's
but
the problem.
but they tell good stories. They're good looking. They're fun to play. So I'm pretty psyched. I just think everything about Bethesda, and except for their head of PR, the nicest group of guys you ever want to meet. Seriously, except for Pete, what a nice group of guys. So you want good people to do really well, except for Pete. So props to the rest of those guys. I'm most looking forward to an announcement of a Bethesda game. Maybe it's not coming out in 2017, but at least they can announce it. Tease the Elder Scrolls 6 at E3. That'll make me happy, even if it's coming out in 2019. All right, got a question from Twitter from @TheLegacyX_. That's a pretty interesting name. @TheLegacyX blank. What is the perfect ratio of first and third party software in order for a console to be successful? It's 1 in 11 games is first party. Perfect ratio, 1 out of 11. I actually didn't say that in jest. If you look at the PlayStation 2, which was probably the most successful console in history. I think it was 170 million. Sony first party was around 9%. If you look at all the dollars, all the software sold on that console, Sony first party was about 9%. Believe it or not, first party declined for PS3 and Xbox 360. Both those guys made less. The Wii, the first party was higher, like 38, maybe 40%, right in there. And the Wii U, is like 60 or 70 or 80%. So clearly, if it's all first party, the console doesn't do well. And that's perverse. I mean, it would be different if there were 200 games for the Wii U and 140 of them were made by Nintendo. The Wii U would have been the most successful console of all time. It's just that Nintendo doesn't make that many games. So the ratio is less about the number that the first party makes. It's more about the denominator. If you think it through, you want consumers to feel that if I buy this console, I'm not giving up anything. I'm not losing the opportunity to buy the games that I like to play all the time, like Call of Duty, like FIFA, like Star Wars, like Grand Theft Auto. And I also get to play the first party titles. So the reason that a typical consumer will pick an Xbox instead of a PlayStation, instead of a Switch, is they're going to make that decision. You want them to make that decision based on the different first-party content. When you have different third-party content on each of the consoles, that becomes a problem. So if FIFA is on everything, and that's all you play is FIFA and an occasional first-party title, then you pick your console based on the first-party title. But if you play FIFA and it's not available on a console, you're not buying that console. So I think that's the problem with poor selling consoles, is they don't have enough third-party support, so the denominator in that ratio isn't big enough. And the most successful consoles have everything available made by third parties on them. And then the winner between PlayStation and Xbox is going to be the one that offers the better first-party content or the better value proposition. If you think about value as a consumer, it's a function of both price and differentiation. So you might like the PlayStation Network better than Xbox Live, you might like the PlayStation controller better than the Xbox controller, and you might like Sony first-party content better than Microsoft first-party content. But you're making that decision between two relatively similar consoles based on the other things you can get. One of them is first-party content. So the answer to your question is, I think 9-10% is about right for first-party content, but it's far more important that the denominator be large. So our next question comes from Sifted, from Danny Endurance. What games of 2017 do you see being delayed into 2018? Elder Scrolls 6. There you go, Pete Hines. As soon as they announced that it's not coming in 2017, we know they delayed it. I don't know that there's anything that we expect this year that's not coming. If I had to bet, I'd say one or two of the Nintendo Switch titles that are currently slated for fall of 17. Nintendo has a history of taking an extra few months to get their games perfect, and in fairness to them, their games are great when they delay them. So it's possible, some of the titles, like, I don't think that Splatoon will get delayed past 2017. It could get delayed from June or July to September, October. But was Mario Kart's early too. Fire Emblem and Xenoblade, I think, were fall. So
Mario Odyssey.
Oh yeah, there you go, Odyssey. Super Mario Odyssey is the one. Yeah, that actually is the one. And in fairness to Nintendo, I think they have every intention of getting it out. I think they fully plan to get it out. I actually think probably 2 years ago, they shifted their development away from Wii U and towards Switch. Shane thinks Wii U and Switch are the same exact device. They just broke the tablet up into Joy-Cons. It really might be. It might be similar enough architecture that they were able to do that. But my guess is they're even on track. I don't think Take-Two will delay Red Dead. I think Red Dead is coming this fall. And the reason I say that is, it's been 7.5 years. May will be 7 years since Red Dead Redemption came out. So RDR2, 7.5 is plenty of time. The Rockstar guys, in fairness to them, once they date something, they really haven't missed since Max Payne. So the last time, not that they've made a lot of games since Max Payne, but that's the last one I remember them delaying. And I think once they put a date out, they're pretty good. I think they fully intend to make it. We saw enough leaks of that game, of screenshots, like the map from that game that was incredibly detailed, suggesting to me all those cities, are done. I think this game is just being polished to like a super shiny diamond, and I think it's going to be phenomenal and come out on time. Other games, big games, the stuff that comes out every year is not going to get delayed. So the Call of Duties aren't going to get delayed. Star Wars has to launch with the film, so that's not going to get delayed. I really can't think of a lot of any giant titles, that have been announced that I expect to get delayed. So pretty much, except for Bethesda, who we all know plans Elder Scrolls 6 this year, that's the only game I can imagine that'll get delayed. Thanks for joining us, fellow babies. We will be back next week with another edition of the Pachter Factor. Hope to see you on sifted.net, $50 a year or $5 a month. If you sign up, you're entered into a raffle for a loot box from the Loot Crate guys. So sign up, you got a pretty good chance of winning. It's better than minuscule chance of winning. Anyway, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week. I think that it's a fun time to be a gamer. We're getting good software. Hardware's really affordable. I think what would be great is if when the Xbox One Scorpio launches, if the Xbox price drops to $249, I would highly encourage you PlayStation 4 owners to buy one of those just to play the next Gears or Halo because they're great, or Halo Wars because they're great. And when the PS4 price drops to $249 or $199, I would encourage all you Xbox One owners to buy one of those and play The Last of Us Remastered or the Uncharted collection. Unbelievable games. Or you already can buy this on either. The Elder Scrolls Remastered, Skyrim Remastered, what an amazing game. There's so much great content. I actually don't care what gets delayed. I am so far behind in games, I can't wait. I've got about a dozen that I need to catch up on. I still haven't finished the single player campaign in Titanfall. So that's how far behind I am. I still haven't loaded up Battlefield 1. And I want to play it. I really resisted, but now I want to play it. So great time to be a gamer.